We really don't know the power of autistic children. See, when we see a dysfunction, we see dysfunctions as something that is a handicap. There are a lot of conditioning from the diagnostic and medical system connecting those with autism to a dysfunction from vaccination shots. But what they don't tell you is that every dysfunction is not a handicap. Again, I agree that vaccines can turn on genes in us and turn off genes because you are dealing with a virus initiator. It's just like when you get a virus on your computer, you are initiating portals to get to certain information in your computer. Somebody has tapped into your computer for information. And when vaccines are inserted into your body to cause or initiate viruses, this right here has an influx on your genetic codes. Your genetic codes is being attacked. You get what I'm saying? And your genetic codes is where your information is. This is where your memory is. Your memory is being attacked. Information is being extracted from your body or either stored in your body. This is why I say genes is turned on or turned off. And when you turn on DNA, this is a dysfunction that causes a person to become unconscious of this dimension and becoming more conscious in a higher realm of intelligence. So when you see anyone with autism, this is a dysfunction, but a dysfunction due to activations in certain genetic codes, giving these beings abilities to see notes of vibrations and frequencies with the ability to shape these notes in their minds to create certain activities in the environment that they're in. You have to really, really pay close attention to autistic children, because even though they don't seem like they're here, trust and believe they are in many other places, and they can use these many other places to actually help you or assist you in certain things that is attacking you here. They can see things crawling on you. They can see diseases and frequencies crawling on you. So when we see them, playing with strings and moving their hands or chanting and humming in a certain type of way, you have to understand that they are actually initiating rituals. They are creating notes, musical notes of vibrations. Vibrations could turn off DNA. It could turn on DNA. And just like it could turn off DNA and turn on DNA, it could turn off disease frequencies and turn on disease frequencies. This is what your government does. They study energetic patterns. So they know at what time of the year to turn these satellites on in our communities to create these disease frequencies, so that way they can initiate disease notes inside of our body. Our brain has brainwave frequency, so it picks up on this energy coming from the satellites around us. So this would be in my next book, titled The Power and Dimensions of Autistic Children. It's going to be a great book because what I'm going to do is I'm going to use references from so-called scholars who actually analyze autistic children in a way that they were very dysfunctional in a negative sense. And I'm going to actually show you how they actually were lazy as far as going into higher spiritual investigations of why these children are actually more powerful than we assume. So, every cell in our body are communication towers. This is how they act. They send signals throughout the body back to the brain, and the brain processes whatever unconscious signal or conscious signal that may be coming from the body, whether the body is saying that it's shutting down or it is activating specific genes to evolve certain things in your body as far as the organs. Again, I said the organs act as planets, and every organ in your body caters to the evolution or the paradigm shifts dealing with the planets. So every time we have something going into retrograde in the universe, you have to remember that we are the universe. There's something going in retrograde in us, meaning that the energy in us is changing. Energy is what? Energy is a form of thoughts that is not shaped. So we shape the energy that's coming from these cells by way of the signal into thoughts. And every thought that we create or manifest in our mind alters the cells in the body. We can actually alter our genes. We can alter our DNA. We can change our DNA by thinking in a specific way. This is what a lot of so-called biologists don't tell you. They tell you that we have over 120 trillion cells in the body that make up the body, but they won't tell you the 120 trillion types of cells that we have as far as the genes way of thinking, because every gene, which is the nucleus inside of the cell, has a different or specific way of thinking. So they say we have 120 trillion different types of genes or genomes. And when you study the genome project that they have, all of this are accusations or assumptions, because they are not giving you a specific detailed chart of how these energetic cells are communicating with one another. But I can tell you of common sense that every cell in the body is a part of each other. Even the brain cells is a part of the cells in the body. You can take a nucleus out of the cell, and the cell will still continue its activity and waste as far as manifesting its waste, abducting certain intelligence in the body, changing the genetic codes of certain organs in the body. So it's just like when we have certain toxics in our body. We have good toxic and we have bad toxic. The good toxic is what goes through the body to flush out the certain intelligence that is actually suppressing the body's functions. So this is just like the cells. The energy of the cells, you have different types of energy which is shaped in different ways, but they all react to each other. Okay? So it's just like this is no coincidence where they get the word cell phone. You have the word cell and cell phone. Every cell in your body is a communication tower. So we have the signals is actually on a dialect of numbers. Every cell in your body has to be able to communicate by way of a dialect. Dialect. Cell phone, you have to dial in order to put numbers in to communicate with certain people around the world. So in order for cells to communicate with each other, they have to go off certain functions of dialect. And your dialect is the way that you think. So if you have something in your body that is on a disease frequency, you can think or hum or chant in a certain way, and you are dialing in to log on to certain signals that will actually suppress the disease or virus in your body. Your laptop or your computer is very similar to a cell phone, because you have to dial up on certain web browsers in order to get to certain internet channels. Your body is a channel. This is your megahertz. This is how we endow on specific anatomical modulating systems within the universe, unconsciously and consciously, because we have planets that speak to us unconsciously. Every time we have a paradigm shift or something goes into retrograde, something is dialing up to something inside of us, which is actually opening up or awakening DNA activation. We have more than 120 billion types of genetic codes in us. In the biology, so-called scholars of biology will tell you that something, whenever they are not able to prove something, they will make up a number and throw it out there, because they don't want to feel like they don't know it. Because if they don't know it, then guess what? Every 10 to 15 years, they have to place these facts in the book. So every book that you read pertaining to biology is either 10 to 15 years old. So this is what they do. They tell you that, well, this is it right here. We'll throw that in. It's just like junk DNA. They talk about junk DNA because they can't prove what that junk DNA is. So they say, well, it's just junk. But it's not junk. The stuff that they call junk DNA is actually more superior than the DNA that they are actually colonizing or putting titles to. The junk DNA is the DNA that actually helps you by way of photosynthesis to connect to the things that they really can understand, because they don't have spiritual telescopes. Your spiritual telescope and your spiritual microscope is that which you have inside of your mind. This is your third eye. Your third eye is your spiritual telescope. And this is what the Dogon tribes used to tap into certain things in the universe that they couldn't tap in with their physical or religious telescopes. The reason why I say religious is because anything that's religious to me is physical, and they have to actually allegate these things with certain patterns. It's just like when you study in psychology, you have certain patterns that you study about the people that's in front of you. So therefore, you have to go based on something that somebody already imprinted for you to go on. You're not going off of your own common sense. And this is why biologists cannot apprehend the truth or the facts behind the things that they are saying or what they're putting numbers to. You get what I'm saying?